And we do want to warn you first, this story is of a very sensitive nature.
More about the circumstances surrounding the death of a 4-year-old boy.
It is a story that first broke here yesterday.
42-year-old Crystal Stevens remains in the Clark County Jail this evening. She's accused of killing a 4-year-old boy. Now, as we reported yesterday, Metro Police say they received a call about a child drowning at this apartment on Silverado Ranch near Bermuda. Investigators showed up and say they found no signs of drowning at all, but the child was taken to the hospital because of his many injuries. Stevens was arrested for child abuse and neglect. She is not the child's mother. We found her Facebook page. She has roots in Washington State and appears to be a mother herself. Now, before the child died, but after it was clear he likely would, Judge Jeannie Waugh was allowing Stevens to be released on her own recognizance. That means she wouldn't even have to pay any bail money. Now, it appears Stevens was ready to walk out of jail, but the child died yesterday, so she was booked back in for a murder charge. The I-team contacted Las Vegas Justice Court to find out more about Waugh. We're told she's been substituting as a judge since 2015, chosen by Clark County commissioners since she's an attorney in good standing, and her cycle ends this year. Now, as far as her actions to allow Stevens to walk out of jail, it's against the rules for her to comment and tell us why she did that. Now, since Crystal Stevens faces a murder charge, there is no bail now until she has an arraignment hearing. She's expected to be in court tomorrow.
This is such a sad situation, Vanessa. Any more information on the boy or the situation?
We've been trying to learn his name. The Clark County coroner isn't releasing his name just yet. As far as that apartment, though, neighbors tell us it appears to be an Airbnb, but that would be against the rules for that area of Clark County.
Okay, thank you so much.
A prosecutor is calling an alleged child murder case one of the worst she has seen in 10 years.
The I-team first broke this story Tuesday, and today the woman facing a murder charge in connection with the death of a 4-year-old boy appeared in court.
Yeah, and family members are obviously just heartbroken. They tell me the 4-year-old boy's name is Brandon Steckler Jr., and he was autistic. His nickname was Tuku for King Tuku. This evening, there are still many questions surrounding his death and what is now a murder case. Here are photos of 4-year-old Brandon. The child's father tells me he doesn't know the suspect, 42-year-old Crystal Stevens, nor why she was with the child. He also tells me he and the child's mother are estranged. The father describes Brandon as a kindred soul with love and innocence who touched everyone he came in contact with. A family friend read a statement for us on the father's behalf because he's just so distraught, and she talked with us. The group of veterans who are friends with the father is asking for prayers of support and for anyone with information to come forward.
Justice needs to be served here, and little Brandon and Tuku's name, he didn't die in vain. I won't let that, this is terrible. I won't ever let that little boy's name be forgotten.
42-year-old Crystal Stevens remains in the Clark County Detention Center without bail. Metro Police says it received a call Monday morning about a child drowning at an apartment on East Silverado Ranch near Bermuda, but when they showed up, they found no signs of drowning at all. Brandon was taken to the hospital, though, because of his serious injuries. Stevens, seen in court here this morning, was arrested for child abuse, but shortly after, Brandon passed away, and Stevens now faces a murder charge.
The autopsy in this case took almost 8 hours due to the horrific injuries to this child. In the 10 years I've been doing child cases, this is probably one of the worst I've ever seen.
To help put that into perspective, an autopsy usually takes from 2 to 4 hours, not 8 hours. Now, family friends are now trying to raise money to bury the child. We'll have more information on our website. We'll also put the father's full statement up.
She was supposed to be babysitting a child, but today she admits to killing him.
Crystal Stevens admits to killing 4-year-old Brandon Steckler. This is part of a plea deal. What this means, she will spend the rest of her life in prison, but she no longer faces the death penalty.
I won't ever let that little boy's name be forgotten.
Brandon Steckler Jr. was just 4 years old when Crystal Stevens tortured and murdered him in 2018.
Justice needs to be served here.
This was a friend of the child's father speaking with us, while he said he was too heartbroken for words. Loved ones told us Brandon had autism. They called him Tuku, nickname for Too Cool. As we uncovered more details about this case, we learned more about the horror Brandon experienced at the hands of Stevens.
In the 10 years I've been doing child cases, this is probably one of the worst I've ever seen.
Jacqueline Bluth, now a judge, was prosecuting the case after Metro Police arrested Stevens. Detectives said she was supposed to be caring for Brandon after his mother, who was in a shelter, asked her to. The mom said Stevens then refused to return Brandon. A couple of weeks later, Stevens called 911 from this Silverado Ranch apartment, claiming Brandon drowned, which was a lie. Authorities discovered excessive burning and bruising to Brandon's body and 27 rib fractures. They say he also had methamphetamine in his system, injuries consistent with sexual assault, and he was suffering from malnutrition, pneumonia, and sepsis. A grand jury indicted Stevens for 27 charges. According to this February 19th agreement we obtained, she pleaded guilty to 3 charges, including murder, first-degree kidnapping, and child abuse. She agrees to a sentence of life without the possibility of parole. A judge will officially sentence her on May 7th.
This is one of those cases where you have to wonder what goes through somebody's mind that would cause them to inflict these kinds of injuries on a defenseless child.
And that's the big question here. Why? We've repeatedly asked Stevens for an interview here in jail. She keeps saying no. We'll see if she offers any type of explanation and apologizes at her sentencing.
Previously uncovered, there were warning signs. According to a child welfare report, Child Protective Services had been contacted 5 times about concerns regarding Brandon and/or his family. CPS only investigated once and found the allegations unsubstantiated. The report also adding CPS was contacted 4 times about Crystal Stevens. The agency investigated twice and found those allegations to be unsubstantiated.
If that wasn't sad, what is? This woman looks like a demon. This woman drugged this little boy with methamphetamines, got high on it herself, and flipped out and abused this baby. She even looks like she don't even like children at all. Look at her face. Does that look like the face of somebody that cares about somebody's kids? Hell no. In our next story, we have a young man who gets high on edibles, flip out, and shoot his family. Let's get into it.
In North Houston, a 15-year-old ate a large amount of edibles, then shot his mother and sister is the accusation. This is late last night along Greens Road near the Hardy Toll Road. Police say that 15-year-old is the one who made the call to 911, saying that he was going to kill someone else or himself. Well, officers obviously responded and found the teen had what they're calling a bad batch of edibles, bad reaction. The teen then shot his mother and his 17-year-old sister multiple times, both undergoing surgery and are in critical condition this morning. And officials say the teenager also pointed the gun at firefighters, too.
The Houston Fire Department arrived before the police department on this incident, and when they did, they encountered the suspect in the parking lot. The suspect pointed the firearm at the fireman and stated he had just killed somebody, and then threw his weapon at the fireman and took off running.
Wow. Well, officers got there shortly afterward, caught up to that teenager a couple of 100 yards away. Investigators say that another sister was there but not injured, and no firefighters were injured either. No word on what charges that teen may be facing.
Mother and daughter are in the hospital fighting for their lives after police say the woman's teenage son shot them multiple times while allegedly being high on edibles. It happened on Greens Road in the Greenspoint area of North Houston. Our Michelle Choi has the latest developments.
By late morning, everything was back to normal and calm at this apartment complex on Greens Road. But hours earlier, it was a much different scene.
I knew something serious happened to see all the police.
According to Houston police, late Saturday night, a 15-year-old boy called 911 saying he was going to kill somebody or kill himself. The dispatcher called back, they say, and talked to his mother, who shared nothing was going on.
Officers still came in route code 2. When they arrived, they found out that the 15-year-old suspect had just eaten a bunch of edibles, and I guess, had a bad reaction to them.
They say after ingesting the edibles, the teen used a gun and shot his mother in the back and his 17-year-old sister multiple times. The two were then rushed to a hospital in critical condition and underwent surgery overnight. Police say firefighters were first at the scene and had a very close call with the 15-year-old suspect.
Houston Fire Department arrived before the police department on this incident, and when they did, they encountered the suspect in the parking lot. Suspect pointed the firearm at the fireman and stated he had just killed somebody and then threw his weapon at the fireman and took off running.
We're told police showed up shortly after, chased him down, and took the teen into custody. None of the firefighters were hurt, and the suspect's 16-year-old sister, who was also in the apartment at the time, police say was unharmed. After learning about what happened, neighbors shared their disbelief, including mom of two, Margaret Smith. She and her babies, she says, live right across the building from where the alleged shooting took place.
Since it's that close, it sends like a wave to your body.
She went on to share, given the alleged state the teen was in, she was thankful police were able to stop him before the situation escalated even further.
It could have happened to anybody. You could have walked outside and did anything to somebody. I'm glad it wasn't me. I feel for the family and the mom and the sister, but it's just some lessons you have to learn. Now you've got to learn the hard way, and that's sad.
Hope that family pulls through, the mom and that daughter. I'm pretty sure that little boy didn't mean to do it. I'm pretty sure when he comes to and realizes what he's done, he's going to be real sorrowful for it. But nonetheless, he will pay for it. You can believe that. And this will conclude this episode of Prime Crime Network. I'm your host, Gracious Marlowe. And until next time.
Thank you for watching Prime Crime Network, your source for urban and suburban and around the world news. Hit the subscribe, like, and the notification bell